Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, the 25th of November, and we are very proud to be introducing you to Jimena Licitra. A lot of you will already know her. Fantastic on Twitter, well-known and personally selected by Joe Dale, super teachers in the new normal. This is a Tilt webinar, Technology in Language Teaching. I'm Helen Myers, I'm chair of the London branch of the Association for Language Learning. We always acknowledge the much help that we've been given by Hyperfilp and Linguoscope in these, but particularly we acknowledge Joe Dale. Joe Dale, please, would you like to introduce yourself? I know you're going to introduce him later, but tell us about you and what you've got to offer us.
Thank you, Helen. So welcome everybody to the latest Tilt webinar. It's really lovely to be here and seeing so many familiar faces. So as you know, I'm an independent languages consultant, digital scout for Tilt webinars, digital bounce on occasion, note taker. But as my day job, I try to earn a living through webinars. So in the chat, as per normal, I have just, hopefully, if my keyboard's working, I've just posted a comprehensive Google Doc with lots of example sessions. If there's something there that you like, I can design a bespoke session for a department or an association or a district, whoever might be watching the session live or in the recording. Please get in contact with me. I'm very easy to find on Twitter, and I would love to help you out if you need any advice on remote teaching, hybrid teaching, or anything in between. But enough of me. Let's carry on with this fantastic session tonight.
Yes, so I can't believe that anybody here doesn't know Joe. But if from some amazing, odd situation you have to follow Joe Dale on Twitter @Joe Dale, and he manages a list called hashtag MFL Twitterati. That's where everybody is. Everybody who is anybody is there. So. I'd like to do a little plug for the Association for Language Learning. Please, if you are a member, or a member of this association or of an association in your own country, please do use this as a chance now in the chat to say, I am a member, please join. It's a great organisation to be a member of. You get a lot of representation. You have the opportunity to be able to put forward your views directly. And also you get a magazine, a lovely colour magazine 3 times a year. So it's a great opportunity to be part of a big family. So MFL Twitterati is a lovely family. ALL, there's a lot of overlap there as well. I run the London branch, and within that we've got a website, and within the website there's a tab called webinars. If you go there, you can find out everything, all the webinars, over 50 webinars that we've had since lockdown. You can get access to the recordings and to the associated PowerPoints and that sort of thing. And we've also put together a comprehensive database where you can do a search to see which webinar is the one you want to look at. So please do take a look at that. Coming soon, we have all sorts of things ready for you. All very Christmassy colours, aren't they really now? But that is what we use. So we've got Linda coming on Tuesday, the 1st of December. Lessons in and from lockdown, My Bitmoji and Me. So that would be great. And then we've got on the 4th of December, every first Friday of the month, we have a get together for anybody who's just starting out in teaching, whether they're at college now, or whether they're an NQT, newly qualified, or recently qualified. And that's a lovely little group of people who come along together. So anybody is welcome to come along to that. We just relax together. Somebody gives a little talk. Joe gave a little talk last time, didn't you? And we're going to be doing a bit more in breakout rooms on this Friday. Yes, I've actually put a little Christmas bauble there for ALL London's Christmas party. If on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock you feel that you'd like to join a few of us just to be able to play games or just chat or listen to music or whatever, we'll probably do like a pub type quiz there as well. It'd be great to see people at that. And coming up on the 16th of January, instead of going to the British Film Institute, which is where we normally go, and we have a lovely time, and we'll definitely go there the following year, we're going to be having another online event for ALL London. So we've got some good speakers there, including Dr. Michael Wardle from Ofsted, and also Judith Rowland-Jones from AQA. I also would like to advertise Rachel Hawke's Advent webinars coming up on Saturday the 5th of December and Saturday the 12th of December. All of these webinars I've talked about are all free. For these in particular, Rachel has got a really, really strong connection with a charity that she's raising money for. So she would welcome it if you would go to her Just Giving page and just give a little bit of money. If you'd come along to that, that would be great. And now over to Joe to introduce our speaker for today.
Fantastic. So I was really, really thrilled when Jimena agreed to come and share her amazing ideas in the Tilt webinar this evening. Jimena came up on my radar, as you do on Twitter. And I thought, oh, wow, that's really interesting. On a regular basis, interesting tweets, lots of Bitmojis as well. I'm sure they'll be appearing in the presentation tonight. In fact, I know they will be. And just very inspiring. And I immediately, when I see language teachers sharing fantastic ideas, then I have to add them to the MFL Twitterers list, which I manage, and encourage them to share their ideas, champion their amazing work. So that's why I was really delighted when Jimena agreed to do a Tilt webinar tonight. So without further ado, I'd love to hand over to Jimena, and we're very much looking forward to learning with you and from you, and we hope that you'll come back and do a part 2 later on as well. So before you've even started, so over to you, Jimena, and good luck.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe and Helen. I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to be sharing my presentation now. Okay, I hope you can see it. Okay, so my presentation, after discussing with Joe about the topic and what he needed from me and what he wanted me to say, is called Super Teachers in the New Normal, because really I think we are all super teachers right now. Situation that we are living is really difficult, and we are doing the best we can. And so I am going to be discussing today my experience during lockdown, what worked well, what didn't work well, how to teach right now in the new normal. I'm going to tell you about what my situation is and some tips of things that have worked well for me or are working well for me, and things that do not work at all, because of course I'm going to be sharing as well problems that I have in the classroom. And then I'm going to be discussing suggested strategies that you can use, and I'm going to be focusing today on these 4 tools: Flipgrid, Wakelet, Slidesmania, and Quizizz. And I'm going to be mentioning a little bit just of Just Mode, Pear Deck Toys, and the other one here that you cannot see, you will see later. So these are my details to contact me. Most of you already know me from Twitter. Here on this link, you can see all my sites. For example, my YouTube place, which is basically very simple because I just do it for my students. I'm not a pro. I'm just a teacher who has been innovating in the classroom and that keeps innovating every day. I like EdTech, as you know, because you follow me on Twitter. I'm ambassador to Flipgrid, Just Mode, Book Creator, Wakelet, and I'm on the path of becoming a Google trainer as well, because at my school we use Google tools, and so I'm happy to discuss this further during the questions if you're interested in any of these. Okay, let me go quickly. So I'm going to be started with what worked well during lockdown. So in my experience, what worked well were video calls with a purpose. I always tried during lockdown to tell kids that we were going to actually do something during the video calls, because I found out that if I didn't have a specific purpose, most of them didn't even turn up. So tools that I found the most useful ones were Kahoot, Pear Deck, especially here you can see an example of Vocabulary Factory. Now it's called Flashcard Factory. They changed the name. I'm going to show you that later on. Jamboard, I've used a lot, Google Jamboard, and any group activity that we did worked really well, even if it was only with a chat or without any EdTech in particular. But kids needed to see a purpose, and I think that's important. Just summoning them for a video call without any specific idea on mind was useless, at least in my case in Spain. Well, I didn't say it, but I'm a Spanish teacher in Spain. I'm going to tell you about my present situation in a moment when I speak about my present situation in the classroom, because I forgot to mention that in the beginning. So video comes with a purpose. Then content videos with questions to check understanding. I think that's essential. During lockdown, I started posting. I mean, I didn't have any experience at all I have experience teaching online for adults, but not to kids. And it was a little bit disappointing seeing that I was preparing great videos with explanations, and I posted them on YouTube, and the number of views that I was getting was really poor. So I needed to come up with a way of forcing kids to actually watch my videos, because if I didn't do that, I ended up with hundreds of questions. Kids just were lazy, at least here in Spain, they were really lazy, and they just started writing questions to me. I don't understand this topic. This is new. I don't know how it goes, etc. And of course, German grammar is not easy to teach long distance. So I discovered that by using a puzzle and adding only 1 or 2 questions to check understanding of my own explanation, it's helped me see and force kids to actually watch my videos. Because as you know, a puzzle is a tool that is automatically graded. It's linked to Google Classroom, and it was really easy for me. I just posted my video on a puzzle. I included 1 or 2 questions, and it was automatic. I could see which kids had done it and which kids hadn't done it, and which kids had understood and which kids didn't. So that was really useful. When I started using it, that was great. And then I found that kids were more engaged if I provided my own clear and short instructions, explanations. They weren't inspired by other teachers' explanations that they didn't know. So for German, I tried to make my own explanations. For example, I'm going to show you briefly an example here of short videos that I prepared. I called it Deutsch kurz erklärt. These were really simple videos that I started doing during lockdown. I'm not going to play the whole video, just a little bit so that you get an idea. But as you can see, this had only music and very clear explanations. Well, this is a video that lasts 1 minute. As you can see, it's really short, but I found that these videos were more seen than the videos that I spent like 6, 7, or 8 minutes talking to them. They really loved these videos, and they are really easy to make. I did them with my mobile phone. I'm not a professional. I just taped them with my mobile phone. I didn't even have a tripod to do this. I did it with a lamp. I just put my mobile phone on the lamp and just taped this in fast motion with my mobile phone. And then, well, yes, I edited the music. You could include your own explanations with your own words, but in my case, I didn't do it. I just did it in this simple way. And it took me a few minutes to just prepare a video like this, and kids loved it. They started to answer to me that they found this really easy to understand, and they really loved it, and it was a way to engage my kids. Then another tool that worked really well for me, because I was really fed up with kids sending me images that were, I had to do like this with my head to see the images properly. When I asked them to send me a picture of their workbook or whatever they were working on, I got fed up with having headache for moving my head sideways all the time. So I came up with this tool. I don't remember, there was a person on Twitter who recommended this tool. I don't remember his or her name, but it was really great. It was awesome. It's a very simple tool that I have here open. And I started forcing my kids to use this to send me all the images of the different pages of the books that they were doing together in a unique PDF file. And it's really simple for them to use. They don't need to know any anything. I mean, I used it with first of ESO students, which is year 7 students, and they found it really easy to use, and it made all the difference to me. It was a complete different thing for me to correct images from my kids with this tool than what I was doing before. So these are the things that worked well for me. Here, as you can see, I included flashcard factory. I have an example here that I'm just going to show you the idea. Then during the questions, you want me to explain to you a little bit further, you can ask me. But the idea is, this is like a real factory. Kids receive some terms with definitions, and they are, during this session, let's say, they are creating examples with the words that appear here. They are divided into teams, and kids are in teams creating examples using the vocabulary that I decided was important for them. And it works like a real factory. As you can see, the examples, when a kid does an example, it comes here. And then we go to, there's a quality control phase period of time. Well, now it's stuck here. I'm afraid you won't be able to see it because of the video call. It consumes a lot of data. But there's a quality phase where the teacher, together with them, oh yes, you can see it, great. This is a quality phase during which me, together with the students, decided whether this sentence was correct or incorrect. So there's a seal, there's a stamp here on the right. There's a stamp to check which sentences are correct, and I gave a red one, which is a wrong one, when the example wasn't correct. This activity was an activity that I did during lockdown and with Meets, Google Meets, so with video calls, and it worked, and it was amazing because it engages a lot the kids. Then these are the things that worked, but what about what didn't work? Because of course everything wasn't wonderful during lockdown. Well, as I said before, video calls without a clear purpose aren't useful at all. I think it's a waste of time just to say hi. I mean, kids need to see that they have to connect for a reason. Otherwise, half of them didn't even turn up. Then random videos from other teachers as well. It didn't work for me. I find that it's really difficult to find good explanation videos for German grammar. So I ended up doing my own. And as I said before, videos, explanatory videos, without checking that kids are viewing it is also a waste of time, because most of them, they just mark the task as done when it's not real, when they haven't actually done it. And then long, boring written explanations. This is a fake assignment, let's say, but this is an example of what you shouldn't do during lockdown. You can't expect a kid who is at home, bored, fed up with video calls and fed up with not going out and not seeing anybody, to read all the instructions and understand everything just by reading it. I think it's important that you give them images, that you give them explanations in videos, even if it's only 2 minutes screen recording with the instructions of what they have to do. Even if it's that is much more useful than just writing down instructions. So these are things that didn't work for me at all. This is my favorite EdTech, because these are the tools that made me survive lockdown during all those months that I was teaching from home. I use them on a daily basis and my kids love them, and I'm going to be talking about some of them later on. Now, if that's okay with you, I would like you to go to Menti and type in this code, because I would like you that are here with me, if I say lockdown, I would like you to write down what word comes to your mind. So let me just open the Menti so that you can see the answers from everybody. Okay, so if you could just go to menti.com and use this code, we will start here seeing your answers. and it would be lovely to see the word cloud with your responses. I hope it's working. You don't have to write all the words that I asked, just one is enough. Thank you. Oh, this is great. Stress. This is something that stresses teachers out a lot. Us, me too. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave it for a few seconds more so that everybody has the chance to join us. This is, for example, an activity with Menti that I did during lockdown for my tutor hours with my class. I had a class of year 10 students who were graduating from school and who found lockdown really, really depressing. It was so hard for them not to being able to graduate with their classmates and everything. So I was always trying to motivate them. I was always trying to do my tutor hours with them with nice activities and spaces for them to express themselves and their emotions and all that. And I did a lot of word clouds with them. It's something that is really easy to use to prepare, because Menti is really easy to prepare, and that as you can see, it takes only a few minutes to put into practice during a video call. So thank you very much for your answers. As we can see, there are some words that are key here: isolations, restrictions, stress, frustrations, boredom. Sometimes I was tweeting the other day, sometimes we forget that the ones who suffer as well when they are at home are kids. As I was saying before to Joe and Helen, that we are lucky at my school to be open because kids don't want to go back home. Really, they don't. Even the worst students, they don't want to go back home. They find it, as you were saying, boring and not so motivating, and it's really difficult to teach like that. Well, I'm going to move on because my time is running out and I want to tell you a lot of things. So how to teach in a new normal. So that was my experience during the lockdown. Now we're going to discuss the different approaches that we can have during the new normal. We can have asynchronous learning, synchronous teaching, a blended approach, and what I do every day, which is my survival mode. Asynchronous teaching would involve using screencast recorders, online tasks, self-marking forms, Edpuzzle videos, and basically not teaching live. I don't really like this way of teaching, but sometimes you are forced to do this. I suggest that if you are in this situation, in my presentation, well, you can see it right now because I have the videos here. If you can see here on the right, on my presentation, I gathered a collection in Wakelet with all the screen recorders that are available. My favorite is Screencast-O-Matic. It's in this collection, but there are lots of them. And I think that is really personal. You should try the screen recorders that are available there, and you should find the one that suits you better. This is another thing that I've started recently doing, which is having a single slide with all the resources for a specific unit on that one slide. Kids find it really useful because, well, as I said, we use Google Tools in my school and we use Google Classroom, but sometimes if I post all the different resources to my students in different tasks or different materials, they cannot find the information easily. So I have discovered that if I just prepare a single slide with all the resources for the unit in one place, when kids are at home working on their own, they find the information all in the same place and they really like it. So that's another suggestion that I have if you're teaching asynchronous or also in synchronous teaching, right? Or halfway or hybrid, which we're going to discuss later. So synchronous teaching, that's the second option that we have during the new normal. We can have live lessons. via Zoom or Meet, using Quizizz, which is really interesting. I'm going to explain that a little bit further later. Quizlet Live, Kahoot, Menti, Pear Deck, these are tools that work fine during live lessons. I showed you before, for example, in Pear Deck, the flashcard factory, which I show you, which is great during a video call. And then for synchronous teaching, it's essential to make sure that the instructions are clear on your Google Classroom or Meet or Teams or whatever management tool you use at your school, because in case connection fails, kids need to know what they are supposed to be doing during your hour. So I always include instructions in Classroom as well, just in case. And then, of course, you can use for synchronous teachers self-marking forms. And I suggest, if you are teaching live, I suggest that you prepare your sessions so that you don't speak for more than 6 minutes in a row, because kids lose attention and they tend to disconnect. Like listening to you after 6 minutes, it's already enough. You should make breaks and make them participate if you want them to not disconnect completely from the video call. The third way in which we can teach in the new normal is the blended approach or hybrid teaching. You can call it whatever way you want. This is basically what I have at my school with some of the kids. Kids go to school some days and stay at home other days. I suffer that with third of ESO because our government has decided that we do that for year 10 students and 11th students. So I have a class of 34 students and I teach the 34 at the same time, but I have 17 in front of me and 17 from home. The ideal thing would be, if you have this situation, the ideal thing, and our original idea in my school, was to repeat sessions. If you don't have a pressure from the parents to absolutely teach everything in the curriculum, or, I mean, if you can decide, the ideal thing would be to have some exercises or practice that kids can do when they are at home, and to actually teach when they come to you at school. I think that would be amazing. In my case, I cannot have that because I'm forced, because of parents' pressure. I'm forced to teach all the contents, and that's why I have to teach at the same time in person and remote, but it's not ideal. These that I'm telling to you about the posting exercises for kids who are at home and leaving the explanations for kids when they come to school is exactly what I called the unflipped classroom approach. It's exactly what experts say that you shouldn't do. But I think in a blended approach, it's what really works. I think kids need to have your explanation live, in person. They should have their space to ask your questions and doubts and everything. And just the exercises or whatever thing they can do on their own, they should just do it at home when they are alone, okay? And that's what I call the unflipped classroom approach. Well, I suggest that you also use puzzle videos in this case for the blended approach. And I suggest that when you plan your activities, if you want to engage kids at home, I suggest that you pair students with the ones that you have in the classroom. So for example, I'm preparing right now a dialogue activity. They have to prepare a dialogue, and I am pairing one student from home with one student that I have in person. And like that, you force, in a certain way, you force kids who are at home to stay connected and not miss the classes, because that's a real problem that we have, at least in Spain. People just not doing anything when they are at home. So the reality that we live right now in Spain is I have the survival mode, which is, as I said, I teach at the same time. So what works here well is to have to take these into account. The tools that you use have to help you. They don't have to make everything worse. So I mean, it's great to innovate, it's great to try new things, but I think you should go little by little. You should stick to the ones you know, and little by little include other ones, because it's a really difficult situation. You have to feel comfortable with the way you work. Take into account when you're planning your sessions that you are going to waste between 5 or 10 minutes with connection problems. So plan simple and for less time than when you usually do when you teach normal, okay? And then things that I find really interesting are starters, welcome boards, and retrieval activities. These are, I think I have an example here. Yeah, I have an example here. This is just a slide that I prepared, adapted from a design by Danielle Morgan, who is a great MFL teacher who inspires me every day. And if you have this ready and you have kids that you are seeing, you have in person and you are supposed to teach, you can get them do this while you connect and prepare the video call with the students who are at home and so on, because it always takes a few minutes until you get everything ready. So this is something that I had ready, a starter activity to help me. This is something that I have begun to do recently. It's a design by Slidesmania and an idea that I copied from Laura, who is a great teacher on Twitter, who inspires me also every day. And I find this amazing. Kids love it because I always start with, okay, what day is today? I start reviewing a little bit of the content that we saw the previous session. If they are at home, I actually make them activate the camera and choose the way they greet. And during this time, I play a song. So it's our 2 or 3 minutes while I get ready for the video call and for everything. I use this time to get ready for my session because of course here in Spain, we go from one class to the other one and we barely have time for anything. So I need these 2 minutes while the song plays. I need these 2 minutes to organize how I'm going to work in the classroom and to start the video call and so on. And kids enjoy it because they are listening to a song in German and they are getting ready for the classroom. So it's a great idea. And now briefly, before I go on with tools and so on, I would like you to go back to the Menti that we were using before, the same one, same code. And I would like you to tell me, how are you teaching right now? Remotely, blended, or how? How is it going? Let me share my Menti. One moment, sorry. Okay. I can't seem to get out of this. Oh, now, okay, great. So we were here. So now, how are we teaching? Remotely, synchronously, asynchronously, blended approach, or in person? This is just interesting for me to know what the majority of the MFL Twitterati that are here are working. Thank you for answering so quickly. You're much quicker than my students. And okay, so we are lucky. We have very lucky teachers here who get to teach in person. That's great, because that's the best thing to do. We are really lucky to have this. Okay, just a few seconds more to see if some people are still answering. So I can see that there's, for the moment, 25%, 24% of people who are suffering what I am doing, which is kind of tiresome. Okay, video calls. And okay, the minority of you are working asynchronously. Okay, thank you for your answers. I hope everybody had a chance to answer. Hope so. I'm going to leave it open just in case someone comes arrives a little bit later. And I'm going to go on. Sorry. Okay. So how can you be in two places then? And how can we help kids catch up, and what to teach in person and what to teach remotely? Well, how can you be in two places at the same time? First of all, I want to tell you that it's essential that you make sure kids at home know whether there is going to be a video call or not. It seems stupid to say it, but sometimes kids forget. They have too many subjects, especially in secondary. And if you don't establish with them a way for them to remind them that they have the video call for your subject, they will forget. So what I do is I post every week a task on Classroom. I post every week a task with the day and time when they have the video call. Another option that you can do is a repeated event on Calendar, which is also an option if you're using Google Tools. I'm sure in your other management tools you have calendars as well. So I suggest that you make sure you do this if you don't want to kids to forget the appointment, let's say, of the video call. Then, as I said before, remember that you will lose, between inverted commas, a few minutes at the beginning to connect. So make sure you give a starter task or something for the kids that you have in person so that they don't get bored and so that they make the most of the time. As I also said before, plan activities pairing kids from home and at school, okay? And make sure they participate. I have recently started asking, because I've seen that kids who are at home are not so eager to volunteer. When I ask, okay, who wants to give me the answer to exercise number 2? There's a complete silence from the kids who are at home. So I have decided, and they asked me to do this, in my class at least, they asked me to do this. I am asking one kid from school, one kid from home. And that way I make sure everyone is paying attention and everyone is participating. Then something else that I find really interesting, which is an idea that I got by Stephanie Rothstein, is to assign roles. We are super teachers, but we can't do everything. I can't do everything. So I get myself helpers. I assign certain roles to my students. So I have a welcomer student, for example, who helps me play the song with which I start my lesson. And I have a student who helps me with my time. And if I have an activity that I want to do for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I tell the students, okay, timekeeper, please set the time for 5 minutes. And he's in charge of that, and so I don't have to do it. I also have someone who helps me with the chat. For example, if we are doing an activity and I need help for kids who are at home, I ask one of the students in my classroom to help me write in the chat, or help me tell me if there are questions to something that is going on that I had missed. Well, note takers, linkers, if I want them to post a specific link or something, or even with my Jamboard. Sometimes I assigned permissions to edit the Jamboard, the digital board that I use, so that they help me writing answers to exercises or whatever information I want to put on the Jamboard. So assigning roles helps get students engaged. You could also assign a role to a student who is at home. Why not? A timekeeper can be someone who is at home. No problem with that. So there's an idea. Then how to help kids catch up? Okay. I suggest that you create a journal of your lessons. Here I have an example that I want to show you. This would be an idea from Blog de Cristina, who is another person on Twitter. She gave me this idea and I think it's amazing. We have a planner with the contents of what we do. For example, Wednesday, Friday, that day, what we do, and so on. And I post it in Classroom. And if you post this in Classroom as a material, you don't have to keep updating You don't need to have to upload a different file. It's automatic. Kids just open that file. It's the same file. You add whatever you want in your own slide, but it's automatically updated, and it helps kids catch up if they missed a lesson, or they had connection problems or whatever, or they were ill, or they were in the doctor and they couldn't be at the classroom. Well, it's really helpful. You can post it as material on Classroom, or something that I learned recently thanks to Slidesmania, which is you can go to your PowerPoint, to your Google Slides document, and press File, Publish to the web, and then you get a link that you post in Classroom, and you share that with your students, and your students cannot touch the slide at all, because they only see a link like this. So I usually do it this way. I press File, Publish to the web, and copy the link. And then, as I said before, another way to help kids catch up is to create one slide with all the unit resources, of course, which is really helpful. Okay, so as I said before, I'm going to do this quickly because I already mentioned it before. What to teach in person? In my opinion, you should teach in person. Explanations, doubts, the opposite of the flipped classroom approach, and then leave the exercises and everything for the kids when they are at home, especially if they are alone and you can't make video calls with them. For example, imagine in my situation, if I'm doing an exam with the 17 kids that I have in the school at that moment, I need to assign a task to the students who are at home. And the tasks that I try to assign are easy tasks that they can do without my help, because I cannot be there for them at that specific moment. So that's my suggestion in this case. What to teach remotely? Well, apart from what I told you, trying to keep them connected by asking them and forcing them to participate, there's a game that I really enjoy, which is Jeopardy Labs. I tried it this year with my group of 34 students. This is the tool, Jeopardy Labs. It's really easy to create your own game. And I tried it this year with 34 year 9 students, 17 at home, 17 in person, and it was amazing. They all participated. They were so active in their own learning that I found this game amazing. So I highly recommend it because it works. It's very easy to use it remotely, and it's really easy to prepare it as well. So you just play it by sharing your screen. So it's really easy. In this case, I did have helpers, for example, with the timekeeper. I assigned a student in person and one remote to help me with time, because kids had only 1 minute to answer the correct question. And well, I couldn't be handling everything, so I needed someone to handle the time, and it worked excellently well. I highly recommend it. And the rest of things I already mentioned them, so I'm just going to go to the next part of my presentation, which is actually speaking about these specific tools, which are Flipgrid, Wakelet, Slidesmania, and Quizizz. Okay, so Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a great tool for speaking skills. I have used it for practice for official exams. Whether you believe it or not, we took official exams last year during lockdown at my school, and all the kids that took the exams passed with flying colors their speaking exam. And that was thanks to Flipgrid. We had sessions every week with them to practice for official exams, both in English and in German, and it worked great. I'm going to show you an example briefly in a second. We also used it for our virtual graduation. It was amazing. Parents participated, kids participating, and Flipgrid did the magic, worked the magic. It was amazing. I use it as well this year because I have kids who are from home half the days of the week. I use it for sending them birthday greetings, and they really liked seeing my messages, because I don't see them. I don't see all of them when it's their birthday. So when I'm not going to see them at school, I send them a video so that they know that I remember them. And then I used it during lockdown, in this case, for taking an exam. Whether you believe it or not, I'm going to show you now an example. Well, here you have examples of different Flipgrids that I'm going to show now in real life, okay? Believe it or not, kids can take an exam on Flipgrid. This that I have here is practice for official exam. As you can see,
blijven in corona-zeiten spreken. Zuerst spreche ich über meine persönliche Erfahrungen. Danach werde ich über die Situation in meinem Heimatland sprechen. Später nenne ich Vor- und Nachteile.
Okay, this is an example of a speaking practice for B1 German exam for the Goethe Institute. And as you can see, Flipgrid allows you to pixel faces. It allows you to use images. Kids do not necessarily need to activate the camera. They can practice with Flipgrid not activating the camera. So this gives students a great opportunity to express themselves orally, and even the shy students liked it because they don't even need to show their face. This is an example of an exam that I did during lockdown. I was worried. I had to teach prepositions in German, which is a really tough subject, and I had to teach it during lockdown, and I was worried that kids didn't understand a thing of what I had explained in my videos and everything. So before the actual exam, the Google form that I had to do, before the actual exam, I asked them to do an oral exam. How do I do the oral exam? With moderation. I'm going to show you in a minute how to do it on Flipgrid. So kids uploaded their video with their, let me show you one without, for example, without their face, okay? They uploaded their
Las
video.
Prepositionen son an, auf, hinter, in, neben, über, unter, vor, zwischen.
Okay, so they uploaded their video, explained the topic to me, and like that, I could make sure that they understood or not the subject. So I gave them a grade for this activity as an oral exam. I graded it for them, and I also sent them comments of the points that they had misunderstood. They came much more ready to the actual exam that they had. And they loved the idea. It worked really well, and it's something that you can do on Flipgrid. What I also did recently is a project on Google Earth. I think if you follow me on Twitter, you have seen it. Okay, here. This is an activity that, kids had to prepare on Google Earth, and they had to upload here with the screen recording, because Flipgrid has an option of screen recording. They could upload their video with their project of Google Earth. And it's, as you can see, there's no audio. I didn't even ask kids to talk during Flipgrid, but Flipgrid helped me with that as well. One of the favorite topics that I did during lockdown was this, let me find it, superhero for one day. No student missed this. I put the instructions in a video. This is me here with as a Wonder Woman, which is a trick that you use with Snap Camera, which is another tool that I recommend to have a look at, Snap Camera. I made a video with instructions of what they had to do, and they had to answer. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why? And so here I have all the answers of the kids. I cannot play any answer because they actually activated the camera. and due to privacy reasons, I can't show you, but all of them participated. So to conclude, I just like to encourage you to use Flipgrid because it's really a wonderful speaking tool, and it's really easy to use. You have lots of amazing things that you can do with Flipgrid. So I'm going to skip this, and I'm going to tell you very briefly how you can use Flipgrid in a simple way. Okay, so Flipgrid is on my presentation. You will have the link to create your account if you don't have one, and basic things that you have to know are you add a topic. A topic is like like the name in itself, a topic, the activity that you want to do. Before, you were forced to create groups and assign topics to certain groups. But in August this year, Flipgrid changed everything, and they now you can create topics, as you can see here, without a group. Okay, so you can use the same topic for different groups, no problem with that. Or you can just leave the topic without a group. So it's very easy. I add a topic, I press here, I add my topic, and I give my topic a title, prueba, whatever. I explain here, explanation of what I want them to do. I can either record a video with my own instructions, or just an emoji, or upload a video or an image, whatever you want. Even a Wakelet collection, whatever you want. Make sure you activate here. Well, we use our email in the school so that we can limit Flipgrid to only users from our school. I think that's the safest way to do it. And then if you don't want kids to see others' responses, it's very important that you press topic moderation. This is what lets you do an oral exam like the one I showed you before, because I didn't want kids to see explanations from other students in the beginning. I wanted only me to get the video with their explanation. So it's really important that you activate this here in order to have the topic moderated, which basically means that only you can see it until you activate for the other ones to see, okay? Then you can choose the time. It can be seconds, it can be up to 10 minutes. You have lots of options, and you create the topic, and it's as simple as that. There's nothing else that you have to do. It's really easy. However, if you don't have the time for this, and you just want to go with topics that are already available, Flipgrid has a great library, which is called now Discovery. You have here ready topics that you can use. You can just, you have here the trended topics, or you can just look for the topic you want here. For example, imagine, I don't know, well, grammar is a little bit boring topic. I don't know, family, imagine, or whatever. And you can search for what you want and very easily reuse a topic that someone else created for you. I think this is very powerful, and as you can see, you can search by subject, you can limit by audience. So you have these filters here who make your life really easy, and I encourage you to take a look at that. Another important thing is mixtapes. This is something that not everybody knows on Flipgrid. Mixtapes allows you, once you have your own videos, it allows you to show parents or whoever you want what you did in your classroom. Mixtapes is just the way to showcase what you are doing. And you create a mixtape by clicking here, create a mixtape. You gave mixtape a name, mixtape prueba, for example. And once you create it, you only need to add videos to your mixtape. How do you add the videos? Well, you go to your discussion, you select the video that you want. Imagine that I want one from this topic. I decide that this one is great. So I go here and I add it to Mixtape. It's as simple as that. And then when I want to share all those videos with the parents, the only thing I have to do, well, let me add one so that you can see it. Add to Mixtape, okay. I add it to my prueba, add, got it. Once I did that, I just go to Mixtape and I share, and I have here my link available for everybody. It's a public link. Everybody can access that. They don't need to have an account. So I can show whoever I want the work that we did in class. This is a very powerful thing. And the other thing I want to mention about Flipgrid, quickly, because I'm really running out of time. Oh my God, how late it is Grid Pulse. You can find your grid pal in Flipgrid. You can be a co-pilot on a Flipgrid topic with someone from around the world. There are all these pluses here are Flipgrid users around the world, and it's amazing what you can do by having let's say a collaboration between an American school, a German school, or whatever school in another part of the world with your own. The topics, for example, I have here topics with copilots. You have, this was a topic with copilots. We had American and Spanish kids post here videos together, and we really enjoyed the experience. And it all came from Grid Pulse. Sorry. So this is everything you can do with Flipgrid. It's a really amazing tool, and I'm going to go quickly to the next one because I barely have time, and I want to make sure I at least I speak about the other tools that I had here. Okay. Another tool that I have is Wakelet. If you see me on Twitter, I'm sure you're aware of Wakelet because I use it all the time. Wakelet is a space where you can create your own collections of resources. I use Wakelet for everything, really. Recently, I have even prepared lesson plans on Flipgrid, on Wakelet. For example, I prepare my lesson plans for this week using a Wakelet collection. And so I have here my lesson plan to teach Das Perfekt, the past in German. It's very simple to use. I did it in 5 minutes. It doesn't take a lot of time. And it's a place where you can gather on one single place all the steps that kids are going to follow during this lesson. So today we're going to learn the past. Okay, I play here a video, and then I have the instructions, and then I have exercises at the end, explanations and examples and exercises that they can do. And they have everything in the order where I want them to do it. So this is something simple to do. It took me 5 minutes, and it's one of the many things that you can do with Wakelet. It's very powerful tool. And okay, let me go quickly. And it's really, okay, it's really fast, okay? You can bookmark anything, not only links, you can bookmark videos, pictures, tweets, whatever, even files from your drive, whatever you want. You organize the content and you share it. It's these 3 steps: bookmark, organize, and share. And it's really easy to use. It allows you as well to have collections shared with other fellow teachers. For example, I don't have time today to explain to you that, but you could create a collection that you share with your teachers from the same department. And for example, have a collection with all the resources that you use in your department. So that is really super powerful. I encourage you to create your account because it's really great. Let me just show you briefly an example of a collection for resources. For example, all my German tools resources that I shared with all the teachers in my department are gathered here. I have my collection And here I have all the different links and things and ideas that we use, that we could use, okay? This is a very big one, but I have other ones which are much smaller, and it's really useful to share things with other people. Okay, sorry, what did I do? I'm sorry. Okay. Now, so let me just go to Slidesmania. Slidesmania is an artist. I love her. If you don't know her, you should follow her on Twitter. She has a website full of templates, full of amazing templates. In fact, the templates that I'm using right now are taken all from Slidesmania. And she not only creates free templates, she also gives you lots of ideas. For example, these ideas that I use in the classroom, slides that you can use for your tutor hours, an app that I prepared for my kids to have all the information of our class all together. These are all templates by Slidesmania. And in my presentation, you will have links to everything. So I hope you can investigate a little bit on your own. But these are all templates taken from Slidesmania. And I really think she's an artist. And you should take a look if you don't know her, okay? So a big thank you to her if she's there, because she does an amazing job every day. And then Quizizz, well, I don't have time to go to explain this in detail, but Quizizz, what I find most useful about Quizizz is to assign a quiz, which is basically like a Kahoot, but assigning a quizzes in Google Classroom is automatically graded. I don't know if you knew that, but it's really, really useful. The only reason why I do quizzes more than Kahoots is because they get automatically graded in Google Classroom. So if you haven't tried that, I suggest that you try it because it's awesome. You just create the quizzes, you assign it in Google Classroom, and you get the grade automatically. You forget about that assignment. You don't have to do anything else, and it's awesome. And kids can retake it if they want to improve their grade and practice for the contents that they are seeing. So now, very briefly, before we go to the questions, 3 other basic tools that I found are amazing, were amazing during lockdown, are JustMode. JustMode is a Google extension that works in any Google tool, and it allows you basically to provide voice comments in a very, very easy way. I find it much better than talk and comment and than read and write, because it's basically, it takes you the same time as posting a comment on Google Classroom, but orally. And what is amazing about JustMode is that you get a transcription of your audio automatically in any language that you want. German, English, French, whatever language, you get a transcription automatically. It's amazing, it's very easy to use. And you can also, something else that is essential about JustMode is that you can track whether your students have opened your voice message or not. And every week you receive an email with the activity that your audio feedback has received. So that is awesome. The other tool that I already showed you before, so I'm not going to go in deeply into this, but I really want you to look into it because for language teachers is amazing, and I don't think everybody knows it, is Flashcard Factory. Most people know Pear Deck Slides, which is awesome for interaction. You have your own Google slide or your own PowerPoint, and you add with Pear Deck some questions so that kids can interact with you. That is great, that is amazing. But what most people don't know is that you actually have a Flashcard Factory, which is a game that I showed you before and that I find absolutely amazing and engaging for kids. And the last tool that I want to talk about, it's because it's not very well known, and it's really a pity because it's awesome, is Pear Deck. Deck Toys. Is Deck Toys, okay? Deck Toys allows you to create gamified learning paths. I'm going to, here you have 3 that I have done. You will have the links in my presentation, but just so that you see it, and I'm almost over with this, you can create things such as this, which is a learning path. You create all this. You create the learning path that your kids can have. And this was my most successful activity during lockdown. I gave kids this game, which is a clue game that I prepared in Deck Toys, and they unlocked activities while doing the assignment that opens here, and it's really. They loved it. They just kept telling me, please make more of these games, because they found it amazing. And I really encourage you to have a look at it. On my presentation, you will have the link to the website, and there are lots of ready to use. I can't find, well, I wanted to show you the website, but sorry, I was a bit nervous because I couldn't show you everything I wanted. But here, okay. So here on the website, if you go to the deck gallery, okay, you have lots of ready-to-use wonderful creations by wonderful teachers, and you can look for whatever subject you want, different levels, and just reuse one that is already done, or even edit it. You can reuse one and change whatever you want to change. So you don't have to create one from scratch if you don't have time to do it. You can also reuse one or adapt it to your needs. And I think this tool is amazing. I really encourage you to have a look at it. And now I'm sorry, I ran out of time. I was really late. I'm sorry, Joe, but I'm over now. So I'm ready for questions if there are some questions for me.
Right. First of all, you absolutely don't need to apologize. That was absolutely amazing. I knew it would be, but actually hearing you just take a deep breath, I know what it's like. So yeah, you've done absolutely brilliantly. Well done. I think before we do the questions, in typical Tilt style, we'll ask everyone to turn on their webcams and give you a much deserved round of applause, so that's okay. And then we'll do the questions, if that's all right. But did you share everything you wanted to share in your presentation?
Yes, I talked about everything, and you will have all the links in my slides. So you will be able to investigate a little bit more about everything, because it was just 1 hour and it was impossible to show you everything. But you will see all the examples and everything in the slides when I share them.
Yeah, it was amazing, and you'll have to come back. Yeah, it's a promise. You'll have to come back and do part 2.
Let's just applaud.
Yeah, let's give a huge round of applause.
Let me get a picture.
Of course.
So
big smile.
Keep clapping.
Oh, sorry, right, keep clapping, right.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. I think a couple. All right, so there's one. I'm going to just take one more as well. Keep clapping. And lovely. Thank you.
All good.
Lovely, isn't it, to see everybody?
Yeah, no, that was really brilliant. Absolutely. I knew it would be, but just, yeah. Okay, we've got a few questions. Let me just bring up the questions.
I'm sure there are questions because I missed out a lot of things. I had to go too quickly.
No, don't worry. It's fine.
It was impossible to teach how to use the different tools because
it was fine. It was fine. I think for a second part, it'd be lovely to do a deep dive into Deck Toys and actually produce something. I think we've got a flavor
is amazing. It's really my discovery during lockdown. It's really amazing, and not many people know it.
Fantastic, lovely. Okay, so we've got a few questions. So the first one is right. So GimKit has the same feature of checking use of words. Would you recommend Pear Deck more so than GimKit? Yeah. What do you say?
I have used GimKit. I don't use GimKit on a daily basis, really. I used it instead of, not Pear Deck, I used it instead of Kahoot sometimes, and I didn't like it as much. So I wouldn't compare it to Pear Deck, really. But maybe it's because I don't know the GimKit features very well. Pear Deck, I use Pear Deck, for example, for retrieval practice. at the beginning of a lesson, I get a slide and with a question. And for example, the typical one that I do all the time is, what did you do yesterday? Answer in German. And they have to just write a sentence in German using the past tense. It takes just 5 minutes, but it works great because we can correct the mistakes on the screen, and kids don't see their name on the screen, so they love being corrected without feeling that they are doing something wrong. So that's why I love Pear Deck.
Fantastic. I think you could do a similar thing in spiral.ac as well, which
so I've been told.
Yeah, Laura demonstrated at our show and tell, which went down a storm.
Spiral is on my list as well to investigate. Yeah,
there's too many tools, not enough time, too many tools. I can see Sylvie in the chat has said, given Kit on Kit Collab, you have the option of students doing exactly that. In other words, presumably they can write their answers, but you can then make them anonymous. I presume that's what
that's great.
Sylvie means. Okay, lovely. So another question. Right, you were talking about Edpuzzle, and I think it was Fatima was asking whether you can explain how you, how you explained to the students how to use Edpuzzle. I don't know if Fatima's still with us, but maybe Fatima, you can clarify what you mean.
Yeah, I can show you an example. I have. Let me just go to my. I have to go to my other user. I'll show you a real example taken from my daily life.
Okay.
I think that's the easiest way to see, so that you can see how kids see it. So for example, I have recently assigned an Edpuzzle on Google Classroom. And what kids see is a link. Okay, so these are activities that I haven't done yet, but are programmed. Are you seeing my screen? No, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry.
Not yet. So in Edpuzzle, do you use the open class option or do you use the classic class option?
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sharing before, sorry. So this is what kids see. Kids receive a link, and Edpuzzle is connected to Google Classroom, and I think to other management tools as well. And it's automatic. I just go to Edpuzzle. Let me just go so you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I connect to my account. Okay, sorry, I didn't have this tab open, so
it's all right.
Will take some time to open.
Yeah, I think if you align Google Classroom with Edpuzzle, then it means you're automatically using the classic class version as opposed to the open class version. So with the open class version, the children don't need to have an email address to log in. You just share the link as
no, they just use a link. Why is it not working? Signing with Google. Okay, it doesn't let me now.
Do you click on the, if you clicked on the sign in with Google at the bottom?
Yeah, I did,
okay.
But I don't know why. Sorry.
That's all right, don't worry.
Okay, let's see.
And also, if you have the open class option, you don't get access to the grade book.
Here it is.
Okay.
The grade book is amazing. Yeah, I can show you how it is. I have here.
Okay, as long as you don't show any children's names, if that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so what I usually do if I want to assign, imagine I want to assign my video, because I assign my own videos, right? You can assign any video, but I uploaded my own videos like this one, and I would just include the questions, and once I have it ready, I press assign, and I choose the classroom that I want to assign it to, and basically that's it. I assign here, I set a date to end, to start and to end, and I post here, I activate that, and it's automatically posted on Classroom, and kids receive a link, as you saw here. It's just a link. They don't have to do anything else. They open the link and they just do the activity, and that's it. And it's also automatically graded. So I post this Edpuzzle here, and I don't have to grade it. It's automatically graded on Google Classroom, which is amazing because I don't have to do anything.
Right, but if you have open-ended questions, you have to then grade those
manually,
of
course.
Yeah?
If I have open-ended questions, I have to go to my grade book, my classes, which Yeah, I'm not going to show you
No,
right
that's
now because
fine.
of the kids.
That's fine.
But yes, they're from the grade book. You correct the open-ended questions. I usually do it all together. I correct them by question. You know that in Edpuzzle you can correct by question, or you can correct individually, student by student.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do it per question, it's quicker. So I usually do it by question.
Fantastic. That's
And
lovely.
that's
Thank
it.
you so
And then
much.
the grade is automatically posted here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Fantastic. Okay. Right. The next question was, I think, again from Fatima. Fatima was very, very good with her questions tonight. So you're talking about connecting. I think this is when you were talking about the hybrid context of having the children in school and outside of school. So Fatima asks, connecting students and pairing them with those who go to school and those who are outside of school is great. But how do you actually do that? Do you like send them messages or what have you? Or how do you sort out the buddying system, as it were?
Well, for example, for the activity I'm doing right now, which is a dialogue that they have to write together, what I have done is we decided how to pair them during a video call. I created a document that I share with them, an Excel file. I put there the names of the students, student A with student B, and so on. More or less, we did it together. I let them decide, but I try to pair up students who were like this, more or less, who could help each other, in the document, and so they knew who their partner was. And they shared the document, the Google Doc. They shared, student A shared the document with student B, and they work on the dialogue together. So that's it, basically. I wanted for them to read the dialogue aloud on Flipgrid, but I haven't worked out how to do it yet, because Flipgrid doesn't allow you to tape two kids who are not in the same place together on the same screen yet. They are going to, but for the moment you can't do it. So I think I'm going to use Quicker to tape the dialogue, to have them tape the dialogue, because I want to correct not only the written part, but also the oral part. So for that, I'm going to use Quicker.
That's a really good idea.
I think.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, lovely, fantastic. Right, another. Oh yeah, okay. Lots of people were saying how lovely your slides were. So
Slidesmania.
So is it all
Slidesmania. All my
Slidesmania,
slides come from Slidesmania.
Okay.
I am not creative at all. I mean, I'm creative with ideas, but design is not my thing. But I love her designs. She's great. And if you don't know her, I think you should go for it. One thing that I didn't mention about Slidesmania, because sometimes if your school has privacy issues, I mean, if you cannot share things with people from outside your school, and you try to download a slide from Slidesmania, you will find that you cannot do it. So a trick that I do is I download the Slidesmania as a PowerPoint. I download to my local computer, and then I upload this PowerPoint to my drive and convert it to a slide. That happens to me because in my school we cannot use things that are outside of our school domain. So if I try to download in Slidesmania website, you can download the template for slides or for PowerPoint. But if you have these privacy issues in your school and you press the slide button, Google Slides button, it will give you an error. It will tell you that you can't do it. So the way I managed to do it anyway is by doing what I said. I download a PowerPoint file to my local computer, and then I upload that PowerPoint to my drive from school. I convert it, and then I have my Google Slides, which is basically the same.
Fantastic. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you so much. I see Rosa in the chat was asking about exactly that, about whether it would work with PowerPoint. So that would be your workaround.
Yes,
to do that.
Exactly.
She's also asking about iTunes U, which I know we haven't talked about, but I thought iTunes U, I thought they were getting rid of that. I thought it had gone already anyway. But she's saying, does Edpuzzle, Gimgit, or Flipgrid go with iTunes U?
I don't use iTunes in my classes, so I can't really tell you.
No, I think they've disbanded iTunes U. I thought iTunes U went last year, but anyway, but yeah, you'll have to check on that, Rosa. Brilliant. Okay, so. Oh yeah, you mentioned about halfway through you were saying a Twitter teacher who Twitter. You mentioned a Twitter teacher around the same time that you talked about Danielle Warren, Morgan MFL. Can you remember who it was? There was another teacher that you mentioned.
Really? Laura? Maybe?
Yes.
Technology
I think so.
Laura.
Yeah. So do you know what her Twitter handle is?
Yes, it's on my slides. Let's see if I can share it, but it's Technology Laura.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, yeah. She's amazing. Yeah.
She's amazing. She has great ideas.
Technology Laura. Yeah, that was it. So both Danielle Warren and Technology Laura, both amazing people to follow. Right. Okay. Lots of people liked the way that you were assigning roles with Flipgrid, I think it was. So she was saying great ideas assigning roles, amazing. Do you assign the roles before the session starts or in the classroom? How do you set that up?
I basically survive. As I told you, I'm on a survival mode. So I do it. I do it on the spur of the moment because I have so many groups that I cannot do it in any other way. But once you assign the roles, you can change them every week, and maybe you don't have to do it every session. You decide this week, okay, roles for timekeeping, links, or whatever. Awarded to this person. Next week we will switch, and that's it. I just do it on the spur of the moment.
Fantastic. I put in the chat that it reminded me of Silvia Tolosano, who I've known for many, many years, who's Languages on Twitter, and she was one of the first people to promote Mystery Skype, and she talked about assigning different roles, like one person to use Google Earth to find where they were speaking to, once they worked out where it was, as it were, one person to collect the questions, one person to record some audio, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really, really nice idea. Thank you. On the last question is, you talked about the journal in relation, I think, to Google Classroom. And then the question was, how do you create your journal? What software do you use for that?
Google Slides. My
Just Google
journal
Slides.
is a Slidesmania template. In my presentation, you will see, I was trying to share it again, but anyway, on my presentation, you will find the link to her website and to some of the templates that I find more interesting, which are, for example, the journal ones. She has a great collection of journals, and it's just a matter of deciding which one is the most interesting for you. But she does design, so I basically use the design and adapt it to my students. One thing that I didn't show, which is I think they are going to find interesting, is the notebooks. My students have actually done digital notebooks, which are amazing. And I use a Google Slide template from Slidesmania for the notebook, which is similar to a journal. I posted it on Classroom with the information that I wanted my kids to include. And then they use that as their notebook for taking notes of whatever we learn. And they loved it. And they have sent me amazing creations with all the explanations, with grammar points that we discussed in the classroom and everything. And it's just a Google Slides document. It's really nothing else. It's really easy to use. For you to create, it's really easy because you just download Slidesmania template and you adapt it to your needs. So for example, in my case, I decided I wanted a grammar part, a vocabulary part, a links part. I created the template and I posted the template on Google Classroom, and then each kid had their own copy because we are not allowed in Spain to use paper notebooks. So I had to come up with a way of having a notebook in the classroom for them to take notes without paper. And they found it really engaging. Yeah. And it's just a Google Slides template, it's nothing else.
Fantastic. Well, I'm blown away. I'm just absolutely, I think it's yeah. I don't know if there are any other questions from everyone in the chat. I appreciate it's 9:30 here. It's 10:30 for you in Madrid. Does anyone have any final questions, or it's probably time to wrap up, but does anyone, Jimena is here in person to answer your questions.
I am so excited that so many people are so late there with me.
Any other questions?
They are just as crazy as I am, because I love teaching, I love sharing. So I think everybody here who stayed till the end, I see a lot of names there, are just as crazy as we are.
Okay, so maybe the last question from Isabel.
Yeah.
Would the role assigning work with A level, do you think, with the older students, do you think that would work as well? I don't see why not. But have you worked with older students and done this
Yeah,
sort of
I
thing?
teach up to year 12.
Right.
And I assign roles as well, because, for example, when we are having a game in the classroom, like the Jeopardy game I showed before, is a game I did with year 11 and 12 students. After their final exams from other subjects, they were so stressed that I needed an activity to help them relax a little bit and enjoy German. So I created these Jeopardy labs, and I needed a timekeeper, and I used the role with them too. And it worked really well, because I mean, they love controlling the kids who are at home.
Yeah.
For example, today I had an exam. I had the exam 17 from home, 17 in person. I had all the cameras on our big TV, and the students in person were telling me, look at their eyes. They are trying to copy. They are trying to look to the right. So they were even worse than me. So they were year 10 students. So, I mean, they like helping. So why not?
Yeah.
Why
Brilliant.
not giving them a role?
Amazing. So the last question, which is I'm sure at the back of everyone's mind, is from Anna Lane, which is, when is Jimena going to come back? So that's an open offer.
Whenever you want to. I mean,
Okay.
I was so honored when Joe wrote me, because I'm just a simple teacher. I before lockdown, I wasn't even using Twitter so much. But I'm really grateful for all the Twitter community. MFL Twitterata is great, and all the people I have met there, all the contacts I have made. I'm so grateful, because you are like my family right now. You know, during lockdown, it was amazing to have feedback from so many teachers from different world. We don't even know each other. But I feel like we are like kind of a family helping each other. And I'm so honored to be here. So whenever you want me, I have no trouble. I mean, I think I'm a simple teacher, but if I can help with anything, of course.
Well, I think you're amazing, and I think everyone else in the room thinks you're amazing, and everyone watching the recording, and everyone that's going to be extolling your virtues on Twitter have been during the session, but afterwards as well, which is completely deserved. Also think that you're amazing, and you are amazing, Jimena. So thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for giving this wonderful presentation, and we will love to have you back in 2021. 2021, it'll be fantastic. And yeah, and thank you for everything that you share on a daily basis. It's just brilliant. Helen, a few final words, possibly. I'm gushing. I'm just gushing.
In a way, I don't think I ought to say too much, because you've just ended it on a lovely note. That little speech that you did at the end, you know, about the fact that this feels like a family, everybody's helping each other. I think really you've summed that up so well, really, really well. So thank you ever so much. And as ever, thank you, Joe, for being so much the founding father of this, I suppose.
Exactly.
Getting us all together, and, you know, and it's so inclusive. So yeah, I can go on and gush and everything as well. I know I do. Whenever I watch these back afterwards, I think, oh, why does she go on and on? But, you know, really, that was amazing. And can I say, it also shows, you know, there's still more to be finding out. And the really good, you say you're a simple teacher, but partly we need to see what teachers actually use, what actually works. And that's what's happening here, that very often Joe is introducing us to all of these ideas and people who are doing things, and we just think, oh yeah, let's try that. So it's lovely to see the way you brought it together, and well done. A lot of people have been saying well done on your language skills, but on coping with that situation you've got.
It's so hard, I can tell you. I barely have a voice. I don't know how I managed to speak for so much time, because it's so hard to teach and motivate students when you see them very little. It's really hard, but there we are.
Really
lovely.
Good.
Lovely,
so
lovely.
I'll start the recording now then.
Yeah,
and
that was amazing.